Hi, everyone. On behalf of IAUG, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Enabling Bots, Biometrics, and Omnichannel with Avaya CC Elite, sponsored and presented by CCT Solutions. Thank you for participating in today's webinar and for your continued support in the IAUG webinar program. Before we begin, I do have 3 quick housekeeping items to go over. First, today's webinar will be recorded and available for on-demand viewing in our IAUG Partners Library. Second, a Q&A session will follow today's presentation. All questions will need to be entered in the question window near the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen. Please submit your questions at any time throughout the presentation. And third, there will be a short evaluation that pops up as you exit the webinar. Please make sure to take a minute and let us know what you thought of today's session and what you might like to see going forward. Now let's get started. I would now like to turn things over to Duke.
Thanks, Marlia. Really appreciate everybody joining us today to get a little bit of perspective on ways to enable bots and biometrics into your contact center environment and really tie that into an omni-channel type of environment where you're allowing your customers to interact with your organization through multiple channels, but also tying that deeply into your different CRM and business applications, because really that's what omni-channel is about. At the end of the day, the challenge for organizations is to increase agent productivity, but also at the same time, let's increase customer satisfaction. And one of the things that biometrics, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today, is it also helps you to increase security, because through things like speech biometrics and fingerprint and facial recognition, you have a higher level of authentication about who those callers or those customers are. And so these types of solutions are now becoming much more easily enabled, and that's what I want to focus on today, is how you can bring those pieces together by utilizing ContactPro as being kind of a central integration piece for those types of solutions. Again, my name is Duke Bond. I'm the Director of Sales here in the Americas for CCT, and with us today is Stefan Schneider. He manages our software development team, and he's going to take us through a demonstration during the second half of today's session. And also with us today, helping us to answer some questions and possibly chiming in periodically, is Ove Kruder, who is the CEO of CCT. And with that, I'm going to kind of jump in and give a little bit of background on CCT and our history. We are an Avaya Dev Connect partner, and we've been an Avaya partner for almost 20 years now. And what we really try to focus on is extending the capability set of the Avaya solutions. We try to be a good partner to Avaya and really build things that complement the Avaya capabilities. And one of the things that you'll see as we go throughout today is that we allow the Avaya solutions to do what they do well. You know, that Avaya Call Center Elite premise ACD system that a lot of organizations have heavily invested in and maybe have done integrations of that system with other applications, like maybe a WFO or other kind of reporting systems, and maybe into other business applications. We want to allow organizations to continue to leverage that investment while also enabling some of the newer capabilities that most organizations are wanting in their contact center, specifically multi-channel and CRM integration. Those are really the 2 key elements of omni-channel, and you'll hear those same themes throughout as we cover this topic today. But as I mentioned before, the real goal is to help agents be more productive. But at the end of the day, our solution also helps organizations to be a little bit more flexible with the way that they handle customer interactions. And a core focus of our platform is to help make sure that it is a reliable platform, and also helping an organization to drive profitability, because at the end of the day, that's what every organization is in business for. Being an Avaya partner, we have received multiple awards from Avaya over the years as kind of a statement about our ability to deliver and do the things that we actually promise to do. So when we look at the ContactPro solution, it's really a complete omni-channel offering. And again, as I mentioned earlier, omni-channel really to us means the multi-channel integration, voice, email, chat. And when we say chat, we also mean things like SMS, social media, mobile applications. And when we talk about CRM, it's not just simply screen pop anymore. There's also activity logging that needs to occur, because if you're not merging your customer interaction activities with your customer data, you miss out on some very useful analytics. For instance, if you're not merging those two data sets together, you don't have the ability to say, pull me a list of all the customers who I have had no interaction with in the last year, but have spent more than $10,000 lifetime. That's just one example where you're merging interaction history with customer data to really try and pull a specific view of your data. And that kind of view there would be very valuable to like a sales or a marketing organization, because maybe that's your low-hanging fruit. Those are the customers that you want to target in possibly some outbound marketing campaigns or sales activities. In today's world, though, organizations are really being challenged to be more productive. And one of those ways is obviously to make the agent more productive at the desktop by giving them the tools in the desktop to do their job better. But one of the things also that you obviously see happening is the introduction of bots. And bots can be both chat bots or voice bots. And really the key here for successful implementation of bots is the ability to allow customers at some point, if they desire, to get out to a live agent with context. If I go into an IVR or a chat bot and then I transfer to a live agent, and then the live agent asks me all that same information over again that was already collected, that's very frustrating to the caller. It's also a huge waste of time for the agent. So you're really working against yourself. So that's the kind of thing that we really focus on, is making sure we're tying together the different technologies that are available. We don't want to be a chatbot provider. There are lots of solutions out there that provide that functionality. What we want to do is integrate with those. We don't want to be an IVR platform, a voice response platform. We want to integrate with those platforms. We don't necessarily want to be a high volume predictive outbound dialer platform. We want to integrate with those kind of platforms. Now, while I say that, we do have some basic outbound dialing capabilities that we've built into our platform so that I can do callbacks, or if I have small lists of people that need to be called and I want to blend those outbound calls with other interactions, both inbound calls and emails and chats, I want to blend these outbound calls, and those outbound calls can also be scheduled. So these are some capabilities that are just built into the system without even adding something like the Avaya Proactive Outreach Manager, which is a very robust, high volume kind of dialer platform. Very important when you're doing this is, as I mentioned, the blending of all those different channels together. And you want to blend those based upon skill, competencies, and priorities. The most important customers, whether it's email or chat, you want to make sure that they're getting maybe a little bit of favored status. And you want to make sure that agents with the right skills are being matched up with customers with certain specific needs. And so these are all the kinds of things that we have built into ContactPro, because once again, they help organizations, be more productive. They allow those agents to be more productive. Part of agents being more productive is the ability to concurrently handle multiple contacts. Especially when you get into the non-voice world, it's critical. In the voice world, you sometimes maybe you're only handling one voice call at a time, because most of us as humans can only really carry on one voice conversation at a time. But if you think about just your everyday communications at your workstation, where you've got multiple emails that you're writing, and you've got maybe multiple IM or chat messages that you're doing concurrently, agents are no different. And when I send, as an agent, when I send a message to a customer, a chat reply, I have this pause. I have a natural wait until that customer sends me back a reply to the reply that I sent them. And so during that in-between time when I'm waiting, it's very important for that agent to have something else that's easily, handled right there in their agent desktop. So that's why you typically want to see agents handling a couple of chats concurrently. And the way that our blending allows this to happen is that we tend to favor a population or a segment of your agents to handle 2 or 3 chats at a time, while other agents, I try not to give any chats, because what you don't want is to have all your agents having just like one chat, because typically you configure chat to not be interruptible, meaning that when voice calls come in, I don't want to give a voice call to an agent that has a chat. You can do that if you want, but it's usually not a best practice. So what you want to do is kind of configure your system in such a way that you have certain agents that I try to keep them focused on chat, and then I have other agents that I try to keep focused on voice, but then you allow everyone to blend together. And again, you've got a lot of configuration rules around the way that blending and the way that the concurrent handling happens. You can set, how many chats or emails or total contacts an agent can be handling. And you can do that at a per agent, per team, per tenant, or per system. You've got different levels within the configuration of the system to set those kind of thresholds. Today we get into this concept of multimodal. Multimodal is, sometimes there's multiple interaction channels happening concurrently. If you just think about what's happening, in a lot of webinars and a lot of, team audio web conferences, you've got a visual medium, sometimes added with a video stream, added to an audio stream. That's the concept of multimodal. I've got multiple communication paths going on concurrently. If I was doing this, I'll call it, if I was doing this session today, where it was just audio only and you didn't have the ability to see something at the same time that I'm speaking, the effectiveness of my communication is greatly diminished. So that's why we want to add these additional, means of communication. Visual stimuli really help us to understand very, much better. And that's really what helps. That's one of the ways agents are made to be more productive, and that helps agents to get the job done more quickly. And if an agent is getting things done more quickly for the customer, then the customer is going to be happier. That's just the way it kind of works out, that when an agent, when a customer gets what they want more quickly, then they're naturally going to be more satisfied. So by incorporating multiple streams of communications into a single interaction, that really improves that communication effectiveness. And a multi-channel environment it allows an organization to start out with something maybe like an interaction is first an outbound SMS, and then that customer requested a call back. And then when that agent calls back to that customer, maybe that agent then adds a video share where they share their screen. And then at the end of that communication, maybe they send an email confirmation of the topics that were discussed. And so all of those kind of different interaction channels being tied together into a single customer interaction, that's all part of that multimodal also. Another element of multimodal that we see today is the incorporation of, biometrics. In the middle of a voice call, whether it's from a bot or even at a live agent, I could utilize speech recognition and speech biometrics to authenticate who that customer is. Or I could send the customer a link to put their finger on their mobile phone to do a fingerprint recognition, or I could ask them to look at the camera on their phone to do a facial recognition. And again, these can be done from bots, or they can be done from live agents. And these kind of things can also be done for chat interactions or for voice interactions. So there's a lot of overlap of these different technologies, but what you have are multiple communication paths that are going on at the same time. And what that helps is for the agent to be more productive, the customer to have a more secure interface, and for the customer to get what they need more quickly, which again translates to the customer being happier. A big part of the agent getting things done more quickly is also tying the CRM environment, your business applications, into the agent desktop and having the agent following a workflow where the information that they need is at their fingertips. And one of the things that we're working on nowadays is also tying some of the real-time speech analytics, where real-time speech analytics is doing a transcription of a live voice call, and then that's being run through a bot. And then that's being fed into that agent workflow to help that agent do their job. So this world that we kind of used to live in, where interactions are either 100% automated or 100% live, is kind of going away. And I can now have this kind of hybrid world where it's a live interaction with an agent, and whether it's a voice call or a chat interaction, I can have a bot running in the background helping that agent to do their job better. And so once again, helping that agent to be more productive, and that translates to the customer being more happy. And then at the end of the day, the key to everything is reporting. You've got to be able to analyze the data to identify the problem areas in your environment so that you know where improvements are needed. And you need ways to measure changes to see if improvements are actually matching up to what your expectations were. So at a very high level, I mean, that's what ContactPro is really attempting to provide to organizations. Most organizations are not going to do all of these things day one. You're going to take these things one step at a time. A lot of organizations will start out implementing some simple screen pop for voice calls, and maybe they'll add some chat. Then later on, they might come back and add SMS. Later on, they might come in and add some chat bots on top of web chat and SMS. Later on, they might add social media. Then later on, they might add outbound SMS campaigns to the mix. And so you don't go and try and accomplish everything at once. You need a modular type of solution that allows you to implement pieces of functionality and technology that addresses some of the challenges that you have in your organization. And that's really kind of the focus around the design of ContactPro, is that it's a very modular software application that allows you to pick and choose which modules make sense for your business. So when we start looking at some of the specifics around our solution, one of the key pieces is the voice integration to that Avaya voice platform. And that allows us to do call control and agent state control. So we allow the voice calls to continue to be routed through the Avaya ACD. We're not going to change that. What we're going to do, though, that's a little bit different, is we're going to route the emails and chats and all the non-voice interactions. We're going to route that through our own work assignment engine, our own routing engine. And then we're going to blend that with the inbound voice call handling of the ACD. And we're able to do that because we're watching the agent states. We know what's happening on the voice ACD. We know how many calls are in queue. We know how many agents are logged in. And so at any point in time, we can manipulate agent states from ready to not ready for any specific channel, so that the goal is to basically have some balance across your service levels for the different channels. What you don't want is, you know, your voice calls getting priority while chat customers have to wait forever to get to an agent. You want to try to have things somewhat balanced across different channels. So while we don't have that concept of a single unified queue, which some people would say I wouldn't really want anyway, what you really want is, again, you want to be able to balance service levels across the different contact channels. And that's what we're able to do through the blending and the configuration that you can set up. From our agent desktop, when an agent logs in, they have a number of different choices for what their audio path is going to be for that login session. When I'm in the office and I'm sitting at my desk and I've got a nice Avaya phone with a nice headset connected to it, I point my login session to that physical Avaya hard phone. But maybe the next day when I'm working from home, I might want to use the Avaya 1X agent media termination soft phone. Or I might want to just use the media termination soft phone functionality built into our application. We have both H323 and SIP media termination functionality into our agent workspace. We also support the teleworker option. Maybe some days I'm working somewhere where I don't really have a really good internet connection. So I'm concerned about my quality of voice. So in those scenarios, I point my phone calls to like my home phone, my 10-digit dialable phone number at home, or my mobile phone, which maybe I have a better connection than through the public internet. So you have a lot of different options, and you can change those by just simply logging out and logging in. Every time you log in, you choose what that audio path is going to be for the audio piece. In the desktop, there's lots of customizability to add productivity kind of tools across the top in your toolbar for things like speed dials, directory integration, wrap-up codes, reason codes for going into auxiliary state for when you're not ready for something. Also built into the agent desktop, we've got a lot of statistics built in and customer journey. These are all things that help the agents to do their job better. And as we mentioned earlier, the ability to add co-browsing, screen sharing, and video integration into that agent desktop allows that agent to be more effective with their communication. We can also, as I mentioned, do some biometric authentication. So when the agent is talking to the customer, they can basically click a button which will trigger a push to a mobile phone application or send a URL to like their SMS messenger app on their phone. And they click on the link or click on a button inside the app, and then it's going to instruct them to put their finger on the phone or look at the camera. And then when that happens, on the back side, in the back in the data center, that authentication occurs, and all the agent now sees is just kind of a check on their agent desktop showing that that authentication has been done. So this is a higher level of authentication than you can do through the than compared to like the typical, what's your mother's maiden name, what's your birth date. I mean, those pieces of information can be kind of stolen and sometimes replicated. So using biometrics, it gives you a higher level of security around ensuring that those customers are who they say they actually are. As I mentioned earlier, a key thing also is that whenever any interaction comes to an agent, I need to get context transferred. So if that call is transferring out of a voice IVR, with a voice bot, I need to get a screen pop full of that information so that I don't have to waste time asking for information. When a call is completed, I might want to do a post-call survey and then have some of that data stored in our ContactPro analytics database to be able to do some reporting around those surveys. And as we've talked about before, the CRM integration for the screen pop, for journey mapping, and even infusing it into the agent workflow to help that agent kind of have a script that they're following. Tied to our voice handling is the ability to blend outbound calling also. So without any kind of dialer platform, we can basically assign tasks to agents using our work assignment engine. Just like we can assign chats and emails to agents, I can also assign callbacks. And that callback could be someone who's on the web saying, click, I want an agent to call me now, or click, I want an agent to call me tomorrow at 3 o'clock. It could be a scenario where the caller they're facing an inbound voice queue of 20 minutes and they don't want to wait. So press 1 to leave your callback number and we'll put you, into our work assignment engine to call you back in 20 minutes or call you back at a time that's more desirable for you. And one last callback scenario that is actually kind of my favorite is even once the call is at the agent. A lot of organizations don't have the ability to let agents, offer the customer the option to call back. I mean, I know I've asked agents many times, it's like, hey, I'm busy, I've got to go. This call's taken too long. Can you guys call me back this afternoon at 3 o'clock? And most organizations are going to say, no, you're just going to have to call back in and start all over again. That's not a good way to help your customers be happy and make them a raving fan. If you can offer that customer the ease of calling, having someone call them back and having the context of why they're calling back, that just really makes customers happy. It saves customers a lot of time. And again, time is money, and time makes customers happy. So if you can treat your customers like their time is valuable, then it's going to pay off from a customer satisfaction perspective. The last scenario could just be a list of, maybe every day there's a list of a couple hundred customers that I need to call. And I'm just going to blend those calls when my inbound calls or my inbound contact queues are either empty or I've got agents sitting idle. I'm going to start distributing tasks to them to keep them busy. So this is just a built-in functionality of the ContactPro application. You don't need any special dialer platform on top of this. But I do highlight, though, it's a preview style dialing, meaning that the agent is going to get a screen pop of who this customer is. They're going to strike a button and they're going to be on the phone as that call is being made. So yes, that could lead to the agent having a little bit of wasted time, because if there are ring no answers or busies, then that agent has to basically make note that, oh, that was a ring no answer, or that was a busy, or that was an answer machine. And that's where predictive dialer can save some time by filtering out those wasted calls. That's wasted agent productivity. But if you have the kind of calls where you expect a higher answer rate and where the customers actually are desiring that call, preview is the preferred method of dialing, because with a preview dialing, you don't have the possibility of nuisance calls. Nuisance calls are those calls we all get at dinner time. It's a predictive dialer, probably for a travel agency calling to sell you a vacation package. But you pick up the phone, you say hello, 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 and nobody's there. It's because the predictive algorithm was over dialing and there was no live agent available when you answered the phone. And so they basically have to hang up. And it's just a frustration for callers when that happens. So that's a benefit of preview, is that you never have nuisance calls. So it's a trade-off, and that's why there are different dialing campaigns, preview versus predictive, depending upon the strategy and the desired outcome of that campaign. Proactive Outreach Manager is the Avaya high volume dialer. I'm not going to spend much time here. I just want to highlight that we have an integration to that Palm platform, and it's just a part of our agent desktop. So agents can be participating in Palm outbound campaigns, but they can also be handling inbound voice calls. They can be handling emails and chats. And between Palm and Communications Manager and our platform, we're able to blend those different contacts together. And as you would expect, you're going to have CRM integration for screen pops and journey mapping for every contact, regardless of where that contact is coming from. As I mentioned earlier, chat includes also things like SMS, social media messaging, mobile apps. I already talked about the concept of concurrent contact handling and why that's important towards making agents productive. And outbound notifications is something that we are adding as part of the 6.0 release that we're going to talk a little bit about. And then on top of chat, as I mentioned, I can add video or screen share, or I can escalate a chat to a voice call. And if a chat customer goes to a bot at first, when they transfer out of that chat bot to an agent, I can pass through all the context, so the customer doesn't have to repeat any information they provided to the chat bot. A nice feature of our chat solution is that supervisors can silently monitor live chats as they're occurring. So if you have some training agents that you want to kind of keep an eye on, you can see what's happening, and maybe on the backside you're instant messaging with them, suggesting some things that they should be telling the customer. You're coaching these agents. You can only do that if you can see what they're doing in real time. We also have a tokenized method for collecting private information, like a social security number, an account number, a credit card number. We can also do foreign language translation on the fly, and we can do post-chat surveys and send a transcript at the end. So these are some of the, just some of the more valuable features. There's a lot of additional features that come with the platform, but these are some of the ones that sometimes you don't get with other chat solutions. Email is, not as sexy and interesting as some of the other interaction channels, but it's still a very valuable option to give to customers. I mean, sometimes customers, they're not online, they just want to fire off a couple of quick questions, and when they connect, that email can be sent out, and they don't need an answer right away. They just need to get an answer in a day or so. They're okay with that. What's valuable with having something like this, as opposed to like a shared inbox on your mail server, is that now you have reporting around the handling of emails, and you also have the ability to kind of route and queue those emails, and you can also use some response templates so that you have a little bit more productivity and a little bit more consistency around the handling of emails. When you're just using a shared inbox, you find agents cherry picking different emails. There's certain emails that they see certain keywords in the subject, like, yeah, I don't want to work on that one. So they just go pick the easy ones, and the hard ones just sit there and they get left behind. If you have a routing system around those emails, you're not going to have that happen. So it's a very robust offering around managing email distribution and handling. And again, you've got good reporting tied to it. One of the interesting things that we're doing these days and part of the 6.0 release is integrating communication platforms, cloud-based communication platforms into a premise environment and with ContactPro. So, you know, a typical scenario would be an organization has something like Avaya Call Center Elite on-prem, and they don't have an existing IVR, but they have a couple of easy transactions that they would like to automate, but they maybe don't want to invest in something like the Avaya Experience Portal, maybe because they feel it's just too expensive and there's just too much complexity to implement that, but they want an easy way. They want to take advantage of some of the newer cloud-based IVR kind of platforms. And so that's really what we're doing here. We're allowing that premise platform to transfer a voice call out to a cloud-based system. Let the cloud-based system do its thing as an IVR, providing bot-like services, passing back information to the ContactPro system so that when that caller wants to transfer out of that cloud-based IVR and it routes back through a queuing system on the premise ACD, I can send that screen pop of information. So the two primary communication platforms as a service environments that we're working on completing this integration, one of them is the Avaya, I want to say One Cloud, but that's it's the the Avaya Zang environment. It's the other one. It's not One Cloud, but I'm drawing a blank on what the Avaya branding name of it is. But Avaya has a CPaaS platform that we can integrate with now, and then the other one we're basically integrating with is Twilio. So if you want to utilize Twilio for SMS and for IVR kinds of services, we can help tie that into your premise Avaya PBX ACD environment. As I mentioned earlier, ContactPro Analytics is our reporting environment. Stefan is going to maybe show a little bit of this today in the demonstration. I'm not really sure whether that's part of the demonstration today, but basically it's a browser-based real-time historical reporting system. It's going to give you reporting around the agents and the queues. It's got all the kinds of dashboards and configuration controls that you would expect to see in a modern reporting system. You've got roles-based permissions to restrict certain users from seeing certain pieces of data. You've got ability to export the data in Excel and PDF. You can schedule reports. The standard reports have both graphical and tabular kind of templates so that you can digest the data in the way that you like. Some people like graphical data, some people like tabular data. There's a lot of different reports there for everybody to pick and choose from. ContactPro Manager is our browser-based management environment. And so this is where I've got over 500 different properties to configure what that agent desktop looks like. But it's not just the configuration of the agent workspace, it's also the configuration of your agent skills and your routing and your queuing and how those different interaction channels are going to be, connected through to agents. From a 6.0 perspective, one of the things that you're going to see today, and really where the primary focus of our 6.0 release is around our browser-based agent workspace. And that will support WebRTC. We will continue to support our .NET desktop, but we know that the trend is, everybody is looking for browser-based agent interfaces so they don't have to worry about anything being installed on the desktop. So that is coming out early of 2021, I think maybe even January it might be. In addition to that, we have some enhancements around the dashboards in ContactPro Analytics. And as I was commenting earlier around the CPaaS integrations and outbound SMS campaigns, these are all capabilities that we're building in the 6.0 release. And with that, I want to turn things over to Stefan to kind of take us through a demo of some of the newer capabilities. Stefan, I'm going to make you presenter.
Thank you, Duke. So Yes, let me start with a few words before we start with the live presentation. I will show today a little bit of our desktop client, our web client, with the channels of voice and chat, and then we will hand over to have also a short session on our analytics reporting to show you the real-time dashboard that you already mentioned, as well as a little bit of the historic items. So you see, currently this is our web client. I am currently logged in and I have availability of the channels voice and chat here. I have the option to set my status, of course, and as soon as I go to available, I'm ready to receive incoming contacts. First contact will be a web chat. So in parallel, I will start a web chat from a website. And as soon as the chat is initiated and I have the right skill, I get an incoming alert of the work item. And as soon as I click on this work item, I'm connected to the customer and I can start a chat conversation here. So customer is sending me some messages. I can send back messages back and forth. We have also other options. I will just show you in a few seconds. This agent, as Duke already mentioned, is able to handle up to 3 contacts. We have set the limit to 1 active voice call and 2 chats in parallel. So at the same time, a customer is just calling, and you see now incoming call also arrives while I'm working on this chat. It's just coming to the work item list. I can accept the contact. And now with accepting this voice contact, I also get the details of this call. I get some basic information, customer number that was probably collected just in front of an IVR or based on lookups on CRM systems or any other system. And on the right side, we have an integrated view of the CRM system. In this case, we just present the Salesforce view, but of course, we have the ability to communicate with any CRM system, ticket system, knowledge system, or whatever, to either present this in one screen in our web client or to just execute an external execution, screen pop, whatever so far. So with this active call, of course, I can easily just switch between my contacts. I can go back to the chat, write a chat message back to the customer. I can switch back to the call. A lot of possibilities here. And also with the call itself, I have the standard functionalities. And I can also add an additional participant, opening the phone book. I can enter a phone number or just scroll through my phone book, select the right contact, make a call to start the second outbound call in this case, and having also the possibility now to communicate between the inbound and the outbound call. So now if the customer accepted the call on this second line, we also get for outbound call the screen pop. In this case, it's John Garner. And now I can easily just switch between voice contacts, put one on hold, put the other on active, and you see on the right side the CRM is just working, that it shows me the right contact based on the incoming phone call. I can of course transfer conference the call, and as Duke mentioned, there is the possibility to also do an authentication of this customer. So I have the ability to send an authentication request, and as Duke mentioned, this authentication request will push on the mobile either the biometric authentication via fingerprint or Face ID. So that's how we can do biometric authentication without sharing any compliant data through the cloud. So I will just finish the outbound contact here, then switch back to my inbound contact. And just to show you with the 3 contacts that there is still one left I can handle, I have another chat page. I get my pre-chat survey. I just enter my details here, and then I can just start this chat, go back to my clients, and I get a third item. And as mentioned, this is something you can define on an agent level, on a workgroup level, whatever you want. Regarding the chat, same functionality like for voice. We have the biometric authentication here. So we can, independent to the channel, send this request to the customer to authenticate him. And as Duke mentions, this is of course also available in front of the agent. So in an IVR or something similar, we can send this request to do the authentication. I can transfer the contact. I can also share files with this chat participant. So if I click on the icon, I can just simply select a document. In this case, I select a PDF file, and I will share it through the chat so far, so that the customer will receive this chat information, and if I and the customer can then download this file. This is something we can enable for both parties or only agent to customer. That depends on the configuration. Finally, we have the possibility to send a secure form to exchange PCI compliant data, meaning if we want to share a social secure number or other data, we can use a PCI compliant solution that the customer will get a web form to enter the data, and then this will go through the system and come back to the agent to be visible for him. Customer journey is functionality. I just switched to another contact here. Customer journey is a functionality where the agent can see past and also open contacts of this customer. So in my example, this customer just called me 3 times. I have one chat and another call just for today. He can extend this to more and just more information here. In my scenario, I only worked on voice calls and chats with this customer, but of course, this is available for any other channel like email, SMS, outbound calls, or social media. So that's it from the client demonstration. So I will just do a short switch to our analytics tool. I have my analytics page here. I will just log in with a supervisor that has specific rights in this analytics. And on the left side, I can select between dashboards showing real-time information and historical data. So in this case, I want to have a look at my dashboard. This dashboard that is presented to the supervisor is a personalized dashboard in this case. So what you see now is a fully customizable dashboard the supervisor just created for his needs. He can add different layouts, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, or others, and he can then define in each of these grids what kind of report to show. So there's a configuration option. He can select between different reports. He can define the visible columns here. He can configure thresholds. I did this for this sample report where I just said, okay, staff has a low threshold 1, medium 2, and high is 3. I can define the colors of the threshold. So for example, if I don't want to have yellow here, but instead this color, I can just change it. And I can select the different queues available for this report. So if I click on update now, you see it changed from yellow to blue. And that's how the supervisor can easily change and tailor the dashboard to his needs. A part of this one screen, we also support multiple layers, meaning the supervisor does not have to change the report, delete the report, and add another one if he wants to see a different view. He has the ability to manage multiple layers here. So I've just created 2 views. That's my main view showing 4 reports, graphical, tabular reports, agent level, skill level. And then I have a second one where I just I named the dashboard called Q Report Large. So if I click on that, it will just present me a different layer which I have also created, which just shows me one large report in a very high level view so far. So that's how supervisors can easily just create multiple layers based on their needs, and switch during the day just to a different view, to different dashboard that he probably needs at that time. Of course, we have a possibility to schedule these reports, export these reports, and final important piece, we have a full screen view that allows you to run this also on TVs as a wallboard TV that's just somewhere in the room. Coming to the historical reports, we have multiple areas of historical reports. We have reports on a queue level, agent level, group selection. We provide also custom reports to our customers and survey reports. And inside these sections, we have reports for an interval, reports per day, per week, and per month. And I can just go into one of these sections, select one of the reports I want to execute. I have, in this case, a queue report. I select my queues I want to display. I select the date range I want to view, and then I click on OK. And then the system provides me a historical report with quite a lot of rows here. So how many contacts created, closed, and if we just move to the right, of course, also all the important information about average speed of answer, average queue time, average handling time. So everything in this report. Of course, the supervisor can limit the report. He can schedule the report to be sent via mail, stored on an NFS share, as well as directly just simply clicking on the Excel, the CSV, or the PDF button, and then the system will automatically create a historical report in the format the supervisor has selected so far. So this was just a very short overview about our web client as well as our analytics. And of course, we're happy to follow up with a deeper dive session if you're interested in. Thank you.
Thanks, Stefan. I'm going to reclaim presenter role. Wrong button. Make presenter and share screen number 2. Okay, again, thanks, Stefan. Great stuff. I'm really excited about the new browser-based agent interface. I think that we're going to get a lot of interest in that new capability. As we went through today, I think the two things that you heard consistently was the integration of CRM and the ability to handle multiple channels of customer interaction. I mean, really, when you take CRM integration and multi-channel and you fuse them together, that's really, to me, what omni-channel is all about. The other piece of it is having a singular unified agent workspace where agents can handle these different customer interactions in an efficient way. And the CRM integration is a part of that efficiency, screen pops and, agent workflow scripting. Transfers of information from the bot functionality, or when a contact transfers from one agent to another agent. You need to always pass information along the way. With that, we're going to wrap things up. We'll stay online for a few more minutes after we close out here to make sure all of the questions got answered, and I'll follow up with everyone that asked questions to make sure that we had successful answers for you, or satisfactory answers for you. And with that, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Please remember, once the webinar is ended, there will be a survey that'll pop open. I think it just automatically pops open as soon as Marlia closes things, and we will select two people who complete the surveys for Amazon $100 gift cards. So thanks again. Marlia, did you have any last closing words you wanted to share?
Yes, thank you everyone for attending us today. And then thank you to Duke and Stefan from CCT Solutions for taking the time to speak to us today. It was a great presentation. And as a reminder, this webinar was recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing by the end of the day. And you can find out more about the IAUG webinar program by visiting iaug.org/learn. And as Duke said, please make sure to complete the short evaluation that will pop up as you exit the webinar and let us know how today's session went. Any questions that were not answered, Duke and his team will get back to you post-webinar as well. And so I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Marlia.